Welcome back, guys. Let's get you up to speed on what we got going tonight. So as you could see, we were burning some 1-inch plate on the table. We got some base plates here. We got a pretty big project we're working on right now. We got a customer here in town that wants a big head gate built at the entrance of his property. And when I say a pretty big head gate, it's a really big head gate. It's the top rail is going to be 8-inch pipe, and it's going to be 40 feet long. And then these upright pieces are built out of 8x8 square tube, and these base plates are 16 by 16 1-inch plate. And so we're going to set these, and they'll actually sit on top of a concrete pillar, and then we'll set the top rail, and I'll have to weld it in the field. I'm going to try to get as much video of this as I can. I can't promise how much I'll get, but I'll try to get what I can. So tonight we're working on the base plates. We're just trying to get some of those things done that I can. I still need to go pick up material. So I've got to go pick up the square tube. I think I've probably got to go pick up the plate so that I can start working on the letters that go on the top rail. But I can get these base plates done, and that's probably about it until I go pick that stuff up. So we'll get the base plates done. Probably tomorrow, or I'm guessing the night after. We'll probably be working on cutting the upright pieces, getting those welded to this. We've got to cope them for the pipe. We're going to try to get as much video of this one as we can. I am waiting for the customer to get back to me on what size all thread they've got. They're going to dowel into the concrete pillar with some all thread, and I need to know what size that all thread is so that I can drill these holes. We'll probably just drill these with the mag drill. It'll be pretty quick and easy, and then these will be done. So as far as the fabrication in the shop goes, it shouldn't be too bad. The worst part is that is a 40-foot length of pipe. He's going to bring it over here. It's going to be a little bit challenging to wrangle just because it's so long, but we'll figure it out. So that's kind of where we're at. Just wanted to get you guys up to speed. As we move forward with this, we'll give you a look at what we're doing. All right, guys, next order of business. So now that our base plates are all cleaned up, I did have to order a 1-inch annular cutter because I didn't have 1-inch for some reason. So I ordered a new bit. We're going to go ahead and get these holes drilled. They're using 7/8 all thread, so I'm going to drill a 1-inch hole. That's usually about how I like to do it. That gives it a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Now the upright material is still on the trailer. I'm going to have to unload it, and I've got to cut that. We need those to be around 9 foot. I'll go over the details on that when we get to that point, but let's go ahead and see if we can drill these. Now I know you guys aren't going to want to sit through me drilling 8 holes, especially in 1-inch plate, because you can see that it is time consuming. But I just wanted to show you, once it gets all bunched up with shavings, I usually like to stop it, clear that out, and then I'll keep drilling. There's the coupon that you're left with. And then I like to put a bucket underneath it so that if oil drips through it, it lands in the bucket. And then it also shoots your plug or your coupon into the bucket as well. It's just one less cleanup step you have to do. All right, so we'll go ahead and drill the rest of these holes. When we get to the point where we're ready to move on to the next step, we'll come back to you. Okay guys, let's get you up to speed here on what I'm doing. I've got the tube in here, it's set on the bandsaw. I fired up the software for the burn table. We've got to burn some parts anyway, but one thing I wanted to do, you can see I've got a side view here. So this is our square tube, and then there's a side view of our pipe, 8-inch pipe. And so I wanted to draft this so that I knew exactly how long to cut the tube so that I had a 9-foot upright. And then I've got to cope that tube so that the pipe sits down in the tube like this. So what I've done is I copied this and then I went ahead and trimmed it up. And so now I've got a cope gauge that I can clamp to the tube, mark this, and burn that with a torch, and that will give me exactly what I need. The other cool thing is that I was able to measure from here where the cope ends clear down to where the base plate starts, and that gives me my exact length, 109 3/4. I just thought this might help someone out in this situation. So it'll make more sense as I cope this, but I've gotten my measurement after drafting this up, so I know exactly how long to cut my tube. I'm cutting a cope gauge so that I can clamp that to the tube and cope this so that the pipe fits perfect in there. We're gonna go over to the bandsaw. We'll see if we can get the tube cut now. Let's see. All right, so we're over here at the burn table. We've got our cap pieces drafted. We're ready to burn those, and then our cope gauge. So let's go ahead and cut these. All right, guys, we got our tube set up here. We're ready to start coping these. So let's show you guys what I was thinking with this cope gauge. I guess technically this is more like a cope template. So because this is square, I can take a regular speed square and I can slam it up against the side of the tube, and then I can make sure this is square. Okay, so if I get this square and centered, then I slide this to where these corners are right in line with the outside edge. So I know that it's square, so now I'm just going to take soapstone here, put my mark on it, and then I'm left with a perfect mark, so I know exactly what arc I need for my cope so that my top rail will tie in with my uprights here. The other thing I did is I made sure that the seam was on the inside. I want to make sure these are on the inside. I didn't want them on the front and I didn't want them on the back because that's typically where people will look at this. That's just one of those things that I like to do, is I like to pay attention to where the seam should go to where it's kind of hidden. So I'm going to cope this, I'll roll it, I'll lay out my mark, I'll cope it, we'll clean it up with a grinder, and this will be ready to fit to the base plate. We'll go ahead and get the torch rolled out and we'll start cutting this. Goodness. All right, time to clean it up with a grinder. Well, let's see how the old ARC captain does. All right, so I think I used that other battery on 3 projects and it lasted that long. So this one only has 2 bars, but we'll see how long it lasts. It's 4:45 right now. I'm gonna hurry and plug it in and try to watch it. We'll see how long it takes to charge a battery. All right, guys, we got that coped. Turned out pretty good, I think. Got it all cleaned up. So here's the other thing I did. I burned a circle that is the exact same diameter as the pipe. So that way I'm able to check my joint and make sure that it's tight. Because when I get this up in the air, I don't want to have the guy helping me pull it off so that I can grind this out and make it fit. I wanted to make sure that the fit is just right so that the pipe sits down in there and all I have to do is level everything up and tack it and weld it out. So sometimes it's worth burning a circle so that you have a gauge so that you're able to double check and make sure that it's good beforehand. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this other one done. Go ahead and cope it. And once I get both of them done and we're ready to move on to the next step, I'll come back to you. All right, guys, we're ready to start fitting up our base plates here. I've drawn a line on the base plate here with some soapstone so I know exactly where to set it to get it centered. All right, so I did want to mention that I like to keep a few of these pick and eyes on hand. I just burn them on my table, but I keep them in a bucket over in the corner. And then if I need to fit something like this by myself, I'll take and tack this to the part that I need to fit, hang it with the crane. That way I'm not trying to do 3 things at once and drop it on my toe. So we'll go ahead and tack this to the base plate real quick. We're welding this up today with the XMT. Anything structural, you guys know I like to use dual shield or stick. So we're going to be using dual shield today. So I'll just kind of hang this and get it close. And then I'll get a tack on it. Once you get the first tack on, it gets a lot easier. Okay, so I've got a couple tacks on that. Now I want to check this for square.
It's time for today's super cool tool.
Alright guys, I just wanted to interrupt the video for just a quick second. We got 2 packages here that came in the mail. Pretty excited to open these up. We got these from Fireball Tool. They were nice enough to send us a couple squares here for us to try out. Although I do have 3 or 4 other styles of squares, this is 2 styles of squares that I don't have. I'm pretty excited to get these open and see how we can put them to use here in the shop. So, big thanks to Fireball Tool. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, it's heavy. Oh, sweet. All right, so this one is the 10-inch Mutant Square, and it has the dragon scale on it. And believe it or not, it also comes with a package of our tabs that we can attach to the square. Believe it or not, this is probably going to come in handy today because I've got to square up our posts on our base plates, and this will be perfect for that. So, pretty excited. Let's see what's in this other one. Oh yeah. I've actually wanted one of these ever since I saw them. Oh, that's pretty cool. So this is one of the 3-axis squares, and the thing that's cool about these is the bases are magnetic, and they actually come with these little studs that you can screw in here, and then I can use it with my Fireball table, the Dragon Wagon, and I can make sure that this is square to whatever I'm fabricating or whatever post or leg I'm trying to tack up. And you've got machined surfaces here on the outside, and then also here on the inside, as well as here and the outside as well on the legs. I love that it's magnetic. That's pretty smart as well. But this is going to come in handy because there's a lot of times where I'm building a frame that has a leg coming off of it, and I'm able to clamp the leg to this, square it up to what I'm fabricating on the table. It's just going to save so much time. So I'm pretty stinking excited about this. So let's just take a look at this real quick, how this works on this table. So they actually include 4 of these pins. And if you look at those pins, you can see there's an O-ring on there. I believe that O-ring soaks up that little teeny bit of movement between the pin and the hole in the table. So this is the way that I think I'm gonna like to run it. I kind of like to put either 2 on the outside or 2 on the inside, or maybe even 2 in the middle. But I've tried it with 4, and it's just, this is so precise, it's really hard to get it in and out. And so I like to run it with 2 pins. And you can see if I put this in here, you can hear it. You can hear how solid that is. There is zero slop in that. I can't feel that moving at all. So let's say you were going to use this to take a base plate or a bracket, whatever, and you wanted to square up a piece of pipe, a piece of square tube, whatever, and then tack these on the corners. That is literally perfectly square. It's probably kind of a conflict of interest that I'm using a Milwaukee square here, but even Jason says there's still a place for these, and I agree. Now granted, I would probably clamp this down, but that is literally perfectly square. Hopefully you can see how square that is. And then it would be the same situation. Square tube, same thing. You'd put that up there, you'd clamp that on. Goodness. Square, square, perfectly square. And the reason that it's so magical is because these surfaces are machined. This is machined. I can't even begin to imagine the piece of equipment that you would have to use to make sure that all these surfaces are perfectly perpendicular and parallel. I think that's one more reason that people need to understand why these cost what they do. It is a very precise, the process that it would take to do that is extremely precise. So I just think people need to understand that. Something else that I would mention, if you flip this, so let's say we flip that around. Okay, we lock that in, and then we take our base plate. Okay, and then we lock it in this way. Okay, so if you wanted it to sit in from your plate, you could do that this way. Now, remember, if I had like a big base plate and I wanted to get it mounted in the corners, you could set fence blocks up here. You could slam this up against your fence blocks, and you could adjust this with your X and Y to get it perfect to where you could clamp this here. And if you had a few of these to do, you could set yourself up a jig and just tack these one at a time. That would save you a lot of time. So pretty sweet system. I just wanted to show you guys how that works and how convenient I think that's going to be. Thanks again to Fireball Tool. I can't wait to put these tools to work and see what we can do with them here in the shop. So let's get back to the project. I'm actually going to grab a clamp and clamp that to that plate. I don't believe you'd want to drop this on your toe either. Oh yeah. Goodness, that's lovely. So to check this other direction, I'm going to use my aluminum 6-inch Fireball square. Check and make sure that this is good. Wow. It's actually right on the money. So I'm going to get a tack on this real quick. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll take this off. We'll bust our pick and eye off, and then we'll be able to go ahead and get some weld on this. So I'm going to fit both of these up this exact same way. After I bust this off, I'll clean the tacks up. You'll never see them. Okay, so then when we're done, bust that off. Then I can just clean these tacks up, and you'll never even know. So this one's ready to be welded out. We're going to fit this one up the exact same way. When we get ready to weld these, we'll come back and we'll give you a look. Okay guys, so I just wanted to give you a little info on what I did when I welded these plates on here. So I'd weld one side and then I'd do the opposite side. Once I got a single pass around the whole thing, I'd run another 2 passes on it, and that gives you your triple pass. So once I get the first pass on, I'm okay running 2 more passes. That's how I like to do it. So now I'm going to flip it over to the opposite side, and I'll run my second and third pass, and then I'll do the same thing here and here. We are running 27 volts on the XMT 350. We got our wire feed speed about 310, 315, and we're running straight CO2 for the cover gas. All right, so that's probably all the work I'm gonna have on this tonight. When I get to the point where I'm ready for the next step, I'll give you guys an update. All right, guys, quick update. So I did meet with the customer yesterday. I actually had to run down a template so that he could drill and epoxy the anchors where these are gonna go. So we got talking about the plan for this top rail, and we basically just decided that it was way more complicated to have to wrangle a 42-foot piece of pipe than it would be just to cut it in half. So that's what we're gonna do. We made the joint decision that it would probably be better if we cut it in half, and that will allow me to get the letters welded onto each section. It'll just be split right down the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and bevel that on both ends where it will join back together. He owns a business where he's got a lot of heavy equipment, and so he was able to bring this to me on a transport trailer. So I don't have a transport trailer. I don't have an option for that. He could have come back and got it, but he's a really busy guy, and it just makes more sense for us to cut it in half so that I can haul it around on my trailer, which has a 24-foot deck. So I can haul it in and I can have it blasted. I can bring it back home when it's done. I can put it here in the shop because now they'll fit, and I can paint most of it everywhere except where I need to weld it. And then we'll be able to haul it down there to his property, and when we go to install it, the first thing I'm going to do is butt those two pieces back together, fit them up, and weld them out, and then we'll hang it and then weld the two joints that fit right here in the tops of these uprights. So that's kind of the plan. I just wanted to get you guys up to speed. My goal tonight is to try to get that piece of pipe cut in half and possibly burn all the letters and everything so that I can get those prepped up and get them ready to weld this out. So anyway, that's the plan. Let's see what we can get done tonight. All right, so I got my mark here, and I thought I had a pipe wrap big enough for 8-inch pipe, but I guess I don't. So in a pinch, you can use emery cloth. It's not going to be as rigid as a pipe wrap, and so you should probably just put that on your list and remember to get it next time you're at the welding store. But in this case, I want to get this done tonight. So what I'm going to do is use emery cloth, and I will actually make marks probably on all the quarters every 90 degrees on the pipe, just to make sure that I'm staying on track. And that's going to get us close enough. So I'll mark this, and then I'll rotate the pipe, and I'll double check to make sure I'm on track. So I'm going to pull my tape again, make another mark. We'll see if we're still on. 21 foot and 3/8 of an inch. And it looks to be right on the money with my mark, which is good. If you get as much of the slack out of this as you can, you usually end up in pretty good shape. If you get as much of the slack out of this as you can, you usually end up in pretty good shape. And it looks like we are. Okay. I think I'm going to cut this with a zip disc. You could cut this with a torch, but with a zip disc I'm able to stay pretty dang straight, and it's just less grinder work, I feel like. And this pipe, I think it's thin. It's probably schedule 10, 8-inch pipe, 148 thou, so it's thinner stuff. So we're just going to cut it with a zip disc, and then we'll go ahead and start beveling it. When we get to that point, we'll come back and give you guys a look. All right, here we go. If I didn't mention it before, I do have this sitting on our pipe stands with rollers so that I can roll it. I've got the forklift that's sitting over here that's going to catch this side, and a pipe stand right here that's going to catch this side. So as soon as I get it cut, it'll fall, and then I'll be able to pick that one up with the forklift, get it out of the way, and then come get this one. Now I know you guys don't want to sit through me drilling 16. Goodness. Now I know you guys aren't going to want to sit through me drilling 8 holes. That's exactly the arc I need for my coping. Goodness. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my new 10-inch Fireball Mutant. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab our new 10-inch Fireball Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab... Then I would just run 2 passes. So once I got a single pass around the whole thing, goodness. Once I got a single pass around the whole thing, then I would go ahead and put another 2 passes on it to give it its triple pass. Goodness. And I'm pretty excited to see. There's just so many uses for these Fireball squares, and I'm pretty excited to get these open and see